So today you're going to be doing for an assignment, and we're going to use some of the problems from this also. So in your packet, you're going to look for Piecewise Scavenger Hunt recording sheet. Now, out in Schoology someplace, your teacher has a document that looks like this, and it's probably titled something like Piecewise Scavenger Hunt or Piecewise Day 2, but it's titled like this. And I want to explain just what this means on here. So this is the function you're going to use, and that's a symbol of a whale, and this is a crab, and this is a treasure hunt, and a palm tree, and a submarine, and a shark, and a jellyfish. But you need to be able to write that on your paper where it says ocean symbol. You want to write that on your paper because that's how you're going to be able to find out the answer key. Okay, so where you have, we're going to do shark. We're going to do shark. Okay, so when I go to check my answers, I'm looking for the word that says shark, and that will show me my correct graph. Okay, so we're going to do shark right here. I chose this one. And what we're going to do is we're going to take this function, we're going to graph it, but first what I like to do is separate it out. So I have another piece of paper, just a piece of scratch paper I'm going to write on, and I'm going to write the function f of x is equal to negative 1/2 x minus 3 when x is less than 2. And then I'm also going to write the function f of x is equal to 2x minus 4 when x is greater than or equal to 2. So I'm going to take those two functions and I'm going to find out the values just like we did in yesterday's lesson. I'm going to plug in a 2, so I'm going to find out f of 2. That's going to give me negative 1/2 times 2 minus 3. Notice on this one, my 2's will cancel. Do you see that? How they cancel each other out? So I get negative 1 minus 3, so I get negative 4. So that's going to be my point. I'm going to plot 2, negative 4. So now I'm going to go to my graph right over here. And I'm going to plot the point 2, negative 4. But before I plot it, I'm going to look up here. See how it's less than? So I know this is going to be an open circle at 2, negative 4. So I'm going to go 2, negative 4, open circle. Okay, 2, negative 4, open circle. Now, I'm going to pick another point in order to find out where I need to. And I have x is less than 2, so wouldn't a logical point be 1 or 0? Yeah, I'm always going to pick f of 0 because 0 is so dang easy to plug in. Because look what happens when I plug in 0, every time it drops off, and I'm just going to get whatever that is, which also happens to be our y-intercept, because if I plug 0 in for x, I'm going to get a y-intercept. Okay, so I'm going to use that point, and I'm going to use the point 0, negative 3. But it has to be less than 2, so I can use 0, negative 3. And this doesn't matter if it's open or closed, it's just a point. Okay, so 0, negative 3, and that's going to be the point right there. And then I'm going to take my handy-dandy straight edge, and I'm going to draw a line that goes from here through that point, and I can keep on going. Now the other thing I could have done is I could have started here, and notice my slope is negative 1, so I could have gone down 1 and over 2, but that point wouldn't have been on this graph, so I could go the opposite, up 1 and over 2, up 1 and over 2. Whoops, so it should have been a little bit different there. Okay, but there's my first graph. Now I'm going to go with my second function. F of x is equal to the second piece of my function, I should say, and this says x is greater than 2, so I'm going to plug in a 2 again, and I get 2 times 2 minus 4, so I get 4 minus 4, I get 0. Okay, so that is the point 2, 0. So I'm going to start at 2, 0. So 2, 0, right here. That's where I'm going to start. Is this an open or a closed circle? That's a closed circle. So that one's closed. Now I have to go up this direction. So when I want to go bigger, I'm going to pick a number that's bigger. So I'm going to pick 3 and plug it in. So I'm going to find f of 3 because that is bigger than 2. So I have 2 times 3 minus 4. That gives me 6 minus 4. That gives me 2. So that is the point 3, 2. Okay, so 3, 2. I go 3 and 2. Now this one I could have also done by using my slope. Okay, see how my slope is 2? So I could start at this point. My slope is 2, go up 2 over 1. So I can kind of do a combination of the two things. Okay, and this one is a closed circle. So I actually did that right. Closed circle, take your handy-dandy straight edge, and this is what my graph looks like. Okay, see how that's done? Okay, let's find one more, and you can pause. So let's find one more to do that might look a little tricky. Let's see, we just did one with fractions. I don't know. I wish you were here and you could tell me. Okay, and before we go to the next one I'm going to choose is turtle. And you can put these wherever you want to, but I'm going to choose the turtle as the next one. I'll show you what that is. But I misspoke in the video yesterday, and I said these are continuous. This function is not continuous, but it is a function because it passes the vertical line test. Remember the vertical line test? It can hit one and only one point. So even though it hit both of these places, it is still a function because this is the only one that is actually part of the solution and this is not. So these are not continuous, and I just wanted to correct that error right away. So in yesterday's video, I said these were continuous. They are not. Okay, so the next one I chose to do was turtle. I couldn't decide, so I just chose turtle. Okay, so we're going to do turtle. So the first thing I'm going to do is take my piece of scratch paper, and I'm going to write those functions out. There might be room to do it right on here, but why? I don't want to crowd it. So I'm going to take turtle, and I have f of x is equal to negative x minus 3 when x is less than negative 1. And I have f of x is equal to 2x plus 2 when x is greater than or equal to negative 1. Okay, so what I'd love for you to do right now is pause your video, find out those values. Let's see, and then we'll compare. Okay, so go. Pause your video. So when I plugged in the values, I found that f of negative 1 was a negative 2. Oops. And when I plugged in 0, when I plugged in negative 1, I got 0. So let's plot those 2 points. Here we go. So first I'm going to have this one when x is less than negative 1. So I'm going to plot this point. Is this an open or a closed circle? That is an open circle. So at negative 1, negative 2, it's an open circle. Okay, now x is less than 1, so it's going to go off this direction. So I have two options here. I can plug in negative 2, so I could find f of negative 2 by plugging that in. That'd be a negative 2 minus 3. Okay, and the other way I could do it is I could go from here, even though I'm not using that point, I could use my slope of negative 1 and go down 1 over 1. Well, that point is not part of our solution, but I could go up to be the opposite. When I simplify this, of course, I will get a negative 1. And then I could keep on going the opposite, and here would be another point. Okay, and so that graph looks like this. Now we line it up with this point, we just don't draw it from there. Okay, so I line it up with that, but I don't draw it from there. Okay, now on this one, I have the point of negative 1, 0. This one is, hey, you know what? Pause yours. Graph that one. Try that part all by yourself. Pause it. Go. So hopefully you've graphed this one already. You know that this is your starting point. And I could plug in a 0 if I wanted to and find f of 0 because it is bigger than negative 1. And when I plug that in, I'm going to get a 2. Okay, so 0, 2. The other thing I could have done is used my slope and gone up 2 and over 1. Now I'm going to draw that line and up 2 and over 1. And this is the rest of my graph. Okay, so just gave you some ideas. And if I want to check that answer, I look on the answer key out on Schoology, look for turtle, and my graph should look like that. Okay, good. If you have questions, you know where to find us. The other thing that I want to let you know is I would strongly suggest that you start working on the review for this unit. The review for this unit starts back here. Let me show you that. This is the review starting right here. And you can do everything in this review except for solving inequalities, graphing inequalities, okay? So you can start on the review, and I would highly recommend that you do that this weekend so that when we have the test next Friday, you'll be prepared. Great. Thank you. If you have questions, you know where to find us.